Why would children play with statues of landmarks?
What if none of these landmarks were created?
Why are all of these statues and buildings landmarks?
What do these landmarks represent?
What is a landmark?
What was the artist thinking when he made these statues?
Does the Temple of the Inscriptions actually have only 8 steps?
What makes a landmark?
How are these all connected or different?
Okay, so those are some really interesting questions. Which of those questions that you've just shared would you like to focus on discussing first? So why do you think these buildings, these locations, earn status as landmarks from around the world, and maybe the 7-Eleven down the street isn't modeled in this little set?
Well, a landmark is something which is basically a place or a major thing, which is very important to the history of the world, maybe I should put it, such as the Taj Mahal. It's been around in India for a very long time, and it goes back to the Mughal Empire in India, and then the Great Wall of China, and all those other places that have been displayed in these mini figurines. I think that's why they're landmarks.
So I'm hearing 2 interesting points there about time, the duration that these landmarks have been there, and something about the significance, how important they are. How do you know that a landmark has that significance? What is it about it that gives it that meaning or significance?
Well, it may be that, number one, it's been around for many years, so there are a lot of archaeology facts in there that show evidence of these types of people living in this type of world. Maybe that could be one of the significances. Another one may be that, they're... Did I already say that they've been there for a long time?
Yeah, so time that they've been there, the significance which could come from the time, or the learning value that you could get, how much you could discover about past civilizations. What else?
I think that a landmark is something that was, when created, was like state of the art. Was like, well, not. It doesn't have to be like modern. It just has to be like amazingly built. Like, it's amazing to have been built with the technology that they had at that time.
So we could erect a new building, a new landmark, and have it only be on Earth for, 5 days, and could it still have status as a world landmark?
Because if it's only there for 5 days, then it's probably not well created. And you're pretty much just putting something together just to get the landmark status. So it's not really that special, unless it's like something like really important that can change history, or maybe like something temporary that it's going to come around next year again.
I think what makes a landmark is the memories inside it that have been kept with it. So when you look at it, you remember something about it. That's what and why it is a landmark.
And back to that idea about the 7-Eleven, you could have conceivably a lot of really special memories getting the most delicious Slurpees you've ever had at this one particular 7-Eleven. And maybe it was some of the happiest times of your life there. So is that a worthy of world landmark status if you alone have amazing memories at this Sev?
No, it isn't.
Why not?
It'd probably be because it's only from one person's memory, and then let's say there's another one that everybody likes, and you only like this person, then basically you will be considered the landmark because you mark it as your land.
Does it matter who designates? Does it matter the status of the person who gives it the special status as a landmark, like a common person versus a prime minister or a famous person, or does it need to be a large number of people?
No, if the prime minister does it, then it says that, oh, this should be a landmark, then it's basically forced a landmark. When a normal person says it, then it's like basically it can go either way, which makes it.
I think it's a landmark when everyone thinks it's a landmark, or like lots of people think it's a landmark. So if you have like, let's say you have like a really small city and then it's like 10 people. And then if you have like 9 out of 10 people like that building a lot, like say that this is like a really small planet with like no population, then it's pretty much a landmark because everyone likes it and thinks it's special.
But there was this ship called the USS Missouri, and that had an important treaty. It got signed on the boat for World War II. So when that's a tourist attraction, not a landmark. So what's the difference between a tourist attraction and a landmark?
That's an interesting point. Who can respond to that? What is the difference?
Well, a tourist attraction is a place where many tourists come to just visit that place and see the significance of that place. Also, like a landmark, yeah, it can be a tourist attraction, but like some don't have to be. Some can, some don't have to be. So it's basically a matter of opinion. So maybe if there's a person who wants to, okay, here's a better one. Such as the Great Wall of China. If it's mainly a tourist attraction because a lot of people want to go there and see how it was built, the architectural design, and since it was so unique, and I don't think there's anything as long and as strong as that, they also want to go there. So I'm now beginning to think that the tourist attraction is basically a landmark, but then it sort of depends.
I think a landmark can be even someone's house if it's like really strong and really stable, and the landmark just has to be really popular and kind of like a tourist attraction, but not exactly, because it has to have like lots of history to it.
It's more about the things that have happened in it. Like, let's say Mozart's old house. It was never really popular. It was old. Now it's a big tourist attraction.
Tourist attractions don't make the landmark a landmark. It's the landmark that makes the tourist attractions.
Interesting. If we wanted to create a landmark, if that was our big goal as a class, do you think that we could work really hard and do something significant this year to create something that would be worthy of landmark status?
I'd say no, because usually it's built, then it's used for something. It isn't like an old dinky little house that someone just comes in and says, I'm going to make this landmark, clean it up and make it, I don't know, a royal's house or something.
I think we could, because if one of us becomes famous and then they tell someone that they used to come to this school would like almost be a landmark. It would be really popular because everyone would want their kids to go there.
I think that we could because, where's my J again? I think we could because it's not impossible. Anyone could make a landmark if they work hard. For example, the American flag was made by a teenage student. So, and now that flag is like represented like around the world and stuff, and that was made by a teenage student. So I think we have the power to possibly make a landmark or a world-known statue or whatever. Yeah.
I think a landmark is an important structure to that culture or country and a well-known structure around the world.
I remember back in grade 5, I read this book of precepts. One of them was your deeds are your monuments, and that was found on an Egyptian tombstone. So technically, you could make a metaphorical monument. Like, this might not be what we're talking about, but we could still make a metaphorical monument if we work hard to be our best and try to be on point with our behavior.